As we strive to improve education at Intermountain Healthcare, we can benefit from some of the lessons learned from one of our neighbors. In our backyard, we have one of the largest language training institutions in the world, the Missionary Training Center, or MTC, in Provo, Utah. The MTC is renowned for its ability to produce high learning outcomes in a short amount of time. In fact, MTC students achieve a proficiency in a few short weeks that is so astonishing that businesses, government agencies, and language schools come from all across the world to learn from the MTC. In the 1990s, the MTC determined to make a great program even better with the help of technology. Over the next few years, the TAL program was created. TAL is a blended learning system that combines the things that people do best with the strengths of technology. TAL, which stands for Technology Assisted Language Learning, proved to be a significant improvement over the traditional classroom learning program. TAL was so successful that a decision was made to purchase 600 computers just to implement it. TAL has been used by over 250,000 students in 52 languages. Let's explore what we can learn from TAL and how we can apply it to building a blended learning system at Intermountain Healthcare. The first thing we did at TAL was identify our objectives. What did we want the students to know, feel, and do at the end of training? It was determined that while memorizing lists of vocabulary and knowing how to conjugate verbs is important, what really mattered was whether the students were able to actually communicate with native speakers. Second, we asked ourselves the question, what can people do best, and what can technology do best? We evaluated what resources we had to maximize the strengths of each. We identified 3 types of people: teachers, students, and native speakers. We decided that teachers could do more than present new information through lectures, but could also facilitate engaging learning activities in the classroom. We determined that every student could be more than just a learner, but could also be a mentor, a study partner, or someone to simply practice with. Finally, we recognized that there were people from all over the world who lived nearby and who were willing to practice with our students in the language. Third, we defined our learning activities. Some learning activities are far more effective than others. For example, lectures, while convenient and economical, are minimally engaging to the students, who often listen passively. There are other learning activities that are far more effective, like audiovisual presentations, demonstrations, discussion groups, and so forth. An ideal learning system will employ a variety of learning activities. Fourth, we match the learning activities with our resources. Our teachers introduce new material in the classroom in the form of a lecture, but they also engage the students in demonstrations, group practice, peer practice, games, and personal study time. In the computer lab, students see and listen to examples of new content. Students practice with other students. Students will also use the lab to review concepts as they engage in over 100 highly adaptive learning activities. Students also use the lab to write new dialogues in preparation of practicing with their teacher, and later with native speakers. The process of writing and getting feedback is very important to a student's progress. Students practice one-on-one with a teacher. The teacher gives specific feedback and helps the student set goals, all with the specific purpose of preparing for the simulation. Finally, students do simulations with native speakers. Fifth, we put the activities in a sequence. Notice that practice with others, review, and writing are all part of a cycle as students continue to learn and grow. Practicing with a teacher is also part of a cycle. This process of blended learning is repeated for every task. For example, students will go through this process to learn how to become acquainted in the language they are learning. They will go through it again to learn how to make an appointment, give directions, and so forth. Once a week, 2 or 3 tasks are practiced together with native speakers in a simulation. Within only a few days in the TAL system, students are able to actually communicate with native speakers. Sixth, we apply a continual improvement process. The amazing results of TAL did not come in a day, or a year, or even 5 years. In fact, the first experiments with TAL were considered by some to be a failure. But through a system of continual improvement, TAL became increasingly more effective until it became the powerhouse it is today. As we applied the continual improvement process at the MTC, we not only looked at learning activities, but we also looked at how the learning system interacted with the culture and mindset of teachers and students, policies, logistics, computer support, and of course, teacher training. It took several years to refine all of these elements to the point that the increase in learning outcomes was consistent and significant. A commitment to continual improvement is one of the most overlooked aspects of learning systems.